To get better at scripting, you have to know what your current level of scripting is. I made this little pyramid thing to help you figure it out, but remember, at the end of the day, I'm just a regular guy. Nothing's official or concrete or anything, it's just my opinions. However, I do still think it'll help you out. So let's go over the levels. I'll tell you what each level entails, how to know if you're at this level, and what you should be doing to reach the next level. Level 1 is beginner. A beginner is someone who is learning the fundamentals of Lua, like if statements, functions, loops, things like that. And you have to know how these fundamentals work as a beginner to get more advanced. If you're still confused by things like events or logical operators or variables or any other fundamental, then you might be a beginner. I'll have a link to what Roblox considers to be the fundamentals of coding in the description. To move past the beginner level, I recommend finding some structured course for the fundamentals. What I mean by this is not just like some random videos here and there about programming. I want you to find something that has an order to it, like a sequential series that builds off itself. As a beginner, I think you should find a series on YouTube about coding or use the Roblox documentation, or better yet, use multiple different sources to get a full understanding of all the fundamentals. This will help you get all the information that you need. Also, you need to start getting into the habit of doing mini practice projects. At this level, do very small projects for each concept that you learn. For example, you just learned about printing, make a little conversation or a story type thing, to practice your printing. You learned about loops, make a part that gets incrementally bigger after each second or so. I don't know. Just make sure the projects you're doing are based off what you just have learned so that you master it, and don't do anything that's way too difficult. Keep it simple. The last thing I recommend is start learning how to apply what you've learned to basic Roblox objects like parts. I say this because it's one thing to know the fundamentals, but applying them to actual Roblox is a different thing. For example, you just learned about data types. Okay, try changing some Roblox properties like part properties with the data types and seeing how the scripting things can apply to Roblox specific things like parts or decals or anything like that. This isn't too big a deal for this level, but coding in Roblox can get pretty boring without doing Roblox specific stuff. Like, what can you really do without Roblox stuff? You just do printing a bunch of times. So try to learn some like part properties. That's a little funner than just printing, I think. So to recap, this level is about mastering the fundamentals. If you don't understand how basic coding concepts work, then you might be at this level. The best way to get better at this level is to find a good structured series on the fundamentals and practice everything you learn, and hopefully you do multiple projects on everything you learn. Start exploring how you can apply these concepts to Roblox specific things. Level 2 is intermediate. At this level, you're able to apply the information you've learned. This is the difference between wisdom and knowledge. As a beginner, you're able to explain how things can be used, while someone at the intermediate level can explain how things are used and also how and when to use them. If you're able to explain Roblox scripting fundamentals and are learning when to apply them to do what you want to be able to do, then you might be at this level. The best way to move on from this level is to find videos or documentation about things that interest you. You already know the fundamentals of scripting, so that set you up to be able to watch most Roblox game development videos and understand at least a little bit of what they're talking about. One reason that this is important is because learning, like a lot of things, is mostly behavioral. So I think you should already be doing stuff to keep you interested and motivated to continue. So yeah, make sure you're learning about things that interest you to keep you motivated. I also recommend to keep making practice projects, but we're going to step it up a notch. As a beginner, you're learning a concept and then doing a practice project based on that concept you just learned. As an intermediate, I want you to think of a practice project first and then try to create it yourself. If you can't figure it out, then do your best to look online and figure out how to make what you want to be able to make. Some projects you can try at this level are maybe like some kind of checkpoint system for an obby, or keeping in theme with an obby, maybe like a obby with kill bricks or moving parts, or maybe even try creating a gun or something. I don't know. The reason I recommend these specific ones is because if you get stuck, there's many tutorials on how to do this on YouTube alone, not to mention other sources like the dev forum. If you get stuck doing one of these ideas, then there's many sources you can use to find out how to better do it. The last thing I recommend is to learn how to apply what you've learned to other aspects of game development. What do I mean by this? Scripting is only one aspect of game development, but in many cases, the aspects of game development overlap with each other. For example, animating is a different aspect of game development, but without scripting, you can't even play the animations. Another example is building. Building is its own separate game development aspect, but you can use scripts to enhance your builds. For example, you can use a script to make a light turn off and on in a creepy type way. So I recommend that you try to think of other aspects of game development and learn how to best apply some scripting to go with that. To summarize this level, it's not only about knowing how stuff works, but how to apply this knowledge. You might be at this level if you feel comfortable with the fundamentals, but are still learning how to apply the information that you already know. I feel like a lot of aspiring game developers are at this level, and it's likely just because they watch tutorial after tutorial after tutorial, and they have all this information, but they never put it to practice. But you can escape this if you just start practicing. I used to be scared to do practice projects too. I was scared to fail, but you need to cut yourself some slack. There's no shame being in an intermediate level. It's just where you are. If you keep being too scared to practice, you're never going to get out of it. The sooner you come to terms with this, the better it is for you. No one will care if you fail on your little mini practice projects. Just start doing it, and if you get to a point you can't figure it out, just keep going at it till you can figure it out. Take a break, come back to it, look online. There's many different things you can do, but just keep trying to do your project if it's not too difficult. Level 3 is the advanced level. At this level, you know how scripting concepts work and how and when to use them, and you're able to create just about anything you can imagine. If you feel confident in being able to create anything, whether you have to look stuff up or not, then you're potentially at an advanced level. To move on from the advanced level, your practice projects should start to resemble or actually be like games. Games are basically just made up of a lot of different systems. So to make a game, focus on one system at a time, but keep in mind how it might affect the other systems that you want to include in the future. Doing this will help you think ahead, which will lead to more effective ways of doing things. You can also do mini projects of things that interest you. For example, if you learn a new concept, make a little mini practice project like in the levels before to make sure that you understand it. The fact that you have to practice remains the same in all of these levels if you haven't noticed, but the last thing I recommend is you should be learning how to fine tune what you do. And what I mean by this is you should make scripts in a way that is efficient and doesn't make your players lag, or in a way that is optimized, you could say. At earlier levels, this wasn't important because your projects were smaller, but as your games get bigger and more complex, it will start to matter more. Also, you have to start thinking about other things, not just the normal stuff we've been doing with scripting. You have to learn about thumbnails and monetization and stuff like that. In summary, an advanced programmer can make just about anything he or she wants to. If you feel like this is you, then you're likely an advanced programmer. Your main focus should be on learning how to write well-optimized code and expanding your knowledge beyond the stuff in Roblox Studio. I believe my current level to be somewhere between intermediate and advanced, so remember that when I talk about the next level. Level 4 is Pro. Like I said, I'm not at this level, so I can only guess, but I would assume that you're able to make anything at all that you can imagine, and you can do it in a very optimized way. How to know if you're at this level? I don't know. I never been here. You tell me. I don't know. The best thing to do at this level is to get that money. Why are you even watching this video? You'll get that money. You can do stuff. You know how to do it well. If you're at this level, the best thing for you to do is to not watch this channel anymore because it's not going to be useful for you at all. Like, I don't know. So to summarize this level, if you're at the professional level, good job. So hopefully now you know which level you're at and how to move on to the next level. And don't rush anything and enjoy the journey. Because if you're like a beginner right now and then you're going to be intermediate, you're going to miss being at beginner. It just happens, okay? So enjoy what level you're at and don't lie to yourself. That's so important. Don't be like, oh, I'm a pro, but you're really an intermediate because you're only hurting yourself. Nobody's impressed by you, okay? You're not impressing anybody. You impress people by admitting you're an intermediate and then working your way up to advanced, working your way up to pro. That's how you impress people. If you would like to, you can comment down below what level you're at, and then somebody will see it in a few months and reply to you and be like, hey, have you been practicing? What level are you at now? And then hopefully you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm really advanced now. And they'll be like, good job. I'm still a beginner. You guys can like keep each other, what's it called? Accountable. Yeah, you can hold each other accountable and it'll be nice. You know, help keep you motivated. And I hope this video helped you, and God bless.